So this video is mainly for anime onlys of AOT. There will be no manga spoilers whatsoever in this video. Season 4 part 2 ends on chapter 130 in the manga, and nothing beyond that will be talked about in this video. So ever since the airing of season 4 part 2, there's been this divide in the anime only community of the fandom. And that's on whether the Yeagerists are right, or if they're wrong, and the Alliance are right. Now we're going to break that down, and talk about the morality of what the Yeagerists are doing. And I'm also going to try to explain why the whole quote-unquote Attack on Titan is a morally great story is very overstated and doesn't make sense in the context of the story of AOT. Now this split in the fandom has been very interesting, as it's very different from other fandoms, right? This isn't Twilight and it's Team Edward versus Team Jacob. By the way, Team Jacob, by the way, if you were Team Edward, ew. This isn't Naruto where it's who do you think wins in the fight, Naruto or Sasuke. The divide in the AOT community comes from a specific moral question, and that's whether the rumbling is right or wrong. And as someone who's read the manga, don't worry, I promise, I won't spoil the manga. But as someone who's read the manga, it's been very fun to see the discussion among anime onlys on YouTube comments, TikTok, Reddit, Mao forums, and a little bit on Twitter. I'm not really on AOT Twitter all that much, so I've only seen a little bit there, but seeing anime onlys having discussions and arguments on the whole Yeagerist and Alliance thing has been very fun and interesting to see. Now let's break the argument down. Are the Yeagerists right or wrong? So the plan or goal of the Yeagerists is to protect themselves and the people they care about, so they want to protect Parody as a whole, and that's why they support the rumbling, because the whole world wants them dead. So that's the main goal of the Yeagerist. It's that simple, and there isn't anything deeper than that. Now what's causing the divide in the fandom is the rumbling. The rumbling is what Eren and the Yeagerists are using to protect the island and the people they care about. And the way the Yeagerist, mainly Eren, is using the rumbling is by destroying everyone in the outside world. So in other words, Eren is committing mass genocide around the entire world to protect the people he cares about and the island of Parody. Now, one common thing I've seen across all platforms from people who are against the Yeagerist and the way the rumbling is being used is they immediately say genocide is wrong, therefore the rumbling is immoral and the Yeagerists are wrong. Now, just to be perfectly clear, I am not and will not at no point in this video try in any way to justify genocide. I don't think I need to explain why genocide is wrong. I think we all have a brain and we all know why genocide is wrong. Just want to make that perfectly clear because this is a controversial subject. Not genocide, we all know that's wrong, but the rumbling in AOT is what's controversial. Now when people are discussing Yeagerists versus Alliance, they immediately jump to genocide is wrong, therefore the Yeagerists are wrong. I think that's not the discussion that should be had. I think that's the wrong discussion because we all know genocide is wrong. And also when people are discussing Yeagerists versus Alliance, they also jump to, well, the rumbling is wrong because there are other options. And if it was me, I would have done this instead, or I would have done that, or this option is better. People like to explain what they would have done, which is totally fine. I'm not knocking them for that. But I do think that type of discussion is misplaced because that completely ignores the options and decisions that Isayama, the writer and creator of AOT, is giving to Eren. They ignore the story and Eren's character journey and instead talk about themselves. The discussion when it comes to Yeagerists versus Alliance isn't what you would do or what option you think is better. I think the real discussion that should be had is whether the rumbling is justified given the lack of options given to the Yeagerist, or an even better question and discussion is the rumbling justified given the lack of options given to Eren and the way Isayama wrote Eren's decisions given those options within the context of AOT. And once you've started the discussion that way, I think then you can talk about what you would do or what option you think is better without ignoring the decisions that Isayama is giving Eren when faced with other options. Now let's break that down. So we all know, having watched season 4 part 1 and 2, that the full rumbling was the last thing everyone wanted to do. And we were also given several options other than the full rumbling. So was Eren. The first option we were given is the 50 years plan. Now this plan will use the rumbling in a small way. The 50 years plan entails that a person with royal blood will inherit the Beast Titan, so that person and someone with the Founding Titan will then come in contact so they can use the rumbling as a defense against the outside world. Or use the rumbling to destroy the military complexes of the outside world until Parody reaches the outside world in terms of technological advancement, to where at that point the rumbling and Titans would be null and void. But Eren immediately rejects his plan because that would mean sacrificing Historia and future generations of children, to where he describes it would be like having children, bred and killed like livestock. So Eren rejects the 50 years plan, and so does Hanji for that matter. So the 50 years plan is not an option anymore. And I'm gonna have to repeat myself because we are talking about the rumbling and if it's justifiable given the decisions that Eren makes with the few options that he has. At this moment, we're not discussing what you or we would have done. Trust me, we'll get to that later because that's the most important and fun aspect of the conversation. We'll get there, I promise. And after rejecting the 50 years plan, Eren even says that they should consider other options. Well, another option that Eren is given is the euthanization plan by Zeke. That Eren would be saving his friends and the LDN people by castrating them so they can't breed anymore, therefore saving the race so they won't have to suffer anymore. Now Eren obviously rejects this because Eren wants to live. In season 3 during the Uprising arc, that was a big part of Eren's development and character. Him gaining the want to live, or the will to live. In the Uprising arc we see Eren in his nihilism. He wants to die because he feels like he isn't special. He feels worthless because he hasn't accomplished anything. But what gets him out of that nihilism is his mom's words, when she says that Eren is inherently special, simply for being born into the world. So Eren finds beauty in living. He finds the will to live. And he says the exact same thing that his mom said about him to Zeke when Eren rejects the euthanization plan. Also, Eren wants his friends to be happy, and nobody would be happy if they couldn't have children. So Eren rejects the euthanization plan, leaving only one option left, and that's talking it out with Marley and the people of the outside world. So after meeting with the Uzumabito and rejecting the 50 years plan, the Scouts are told that the Uzumabito won't help Paradis trade with the rest of the world. And the reason for that is because the outside world still sees Paradis as an island of devils, and it unites the world against a common enemy. So the Scouts get the great idea of going to Marley to talk it out with Marley. And I'm being serious, I think it's a great idea. They want to talk face to face with Marley and the outside world, and show them that they're human, just like them. And we actually saw this in the final episode of Season 4 Part 2, which was an amazing episode by the way. But we see that Marley is holding a peace conference for Eldians, and the Scouts want to take the opportunity to talk with the nations of the world. But unfortunately for them, the outside world is racist, and they want to see the utter destruction of the island of Paradis, and that's when it's revealed that Eren left the Scouts and went into hiding in Marley. So yeah, the final option, which was talking it out with Marley, hoping to build some common ground, or peaceful relations, is not an option anymore, which is why Eren leaves the Scouts and decides to do his own thing. And it gets even worse because the next time the Scouts see Eren is when he does a terrorist attack on Marley. So in one of the best episodes of the anime, Declaration of War, we see Willy Tiber host the most important diplomats and authority figures of every nation, or almost every nation, and he wants to address them on the situation of Paradis. Willy Tiber just gives out this crazy speech and says stuff that only he knew, like that Karl Fritz denounced war and actually stopped the war between Eldians and Marleyans, and that he believes the Eldian race should be perished because that's what they deserve for causing so much pain, and that the people who are currently living on Paradis have absolutely zero idea of the outside world and their history. They don't know anything. So basically they're innocent, because they are. But Willy fires up the nations of the world, and the whole world declares war on Paradis. So Eren had 3 options. He rejected 2 of them, and one of them just didn't work out, which leaves them with doing the full rumbling. Eren didn't start this. The world literally just heard that the inhabitants of Paradis, the people they call devils, are innocent, but they still declared war on the island, leaving Eren with no choice but to do the full rumbling, to protect the people he cares about and the island, his home. Eren didn't want this, but Isayama gave him no choice. Isayama made it to where the rumbling is the only option Eren is left with. There is no more room to talk with the outside world. We just established that. They want to kill the Paradisians. Isayama made it so. Isayama gave us. He gave Eren other options, but ultimately left him with the option he didn't want to do. Left him with the last resort. And Eren still wants another way. In the jail scene with Hanji, Eren is literally begging Hanji, asking her if they have other options, if she has any other plan, but she doesn't. No one does. The only thing that Eren can do is the full rumbling. He tells Astoria in the season finale that the full rumbling will end the cycle of revenge. Now we can finally talk about what we, or you, would do in this situation. Because the moral question is, would you sacrifice the world to save your friends and family? Or would you sacrifice your friends and family to save the world? That is the question. That's the moral question. Now frame it in the context of Attack on Titan. Are the Yeagerists wrong for wanting to protect themselves from the people actively wanting to kill them? And the only way they can protect themselves, established by Isayama, we just went through all the options, is the rumbling, which is currently being enacted by Eren. So given all of that, given that Isayama made it this way, that he went through various options that Eren could have chose from, but made it so that Eren rejected those, he made it to where the outside world didn't want anything to do with Paradis, and he went to great lengths to show us that, leaving Eren with the rumbling. Are the Yeagerists, Eren, and the rumbling justified? The whole world wants to kill them. Are they justified? John literally says the same thing, that the world brought this on themselves. Years of trying to eliminate Paradisians has led to this moment. It's either kill or be killed. Isayama made it that way. He wrote it that way. And the reason I keep saying Isayama made it that way, he made it like this, he made it like that, is because a lot of people, especially from the Lion side, have been demonizing people on the Yeagerist side, saying, oh, how can you be on the Yeagerist side? That's horrible, etc, etc. But the reason people are on the Yeagerist side is because Isayama made it that way. Now he didn't make it to where people have to be on the Yeagerist side, but he did make it to where the story is following Eren. He's the main character. And for that matter, it's been following the people of Paradis. We see how hard they've had it. Isayama is saying, oh look, the outside world wants to destroy Paradis, and he leaves Eren with one option. So it makes sense why people would choose that side. So aside from the question of whether the rumbling is justified, but let's go back to the question brought up earlier. Would you sacrifice the world to save your friends and family? Or would you sacrifice your friends and family to save the world? Now we know how the people who are on the Yeagerist side feel, but I feel like the people who are on the Alliance side are not clear on it. And let me be clear, whether given the option to sacrifice the world to save my friends and family, or sacrifice my friends and family to save the world, I don't know what I would do. I honestly don't. So that's that. But the people who are on the Alliance side, again, instead of answering the moral question of the rumbling, would you sacrifice the world to save your friends and family, or would you sacrifice your friends and family to save the world? They again instead talk about how they would have chose the 50 years plan because it's a better option, which I agree, it's a better option than genocide, right? But that doesn't matter because that ignores the story and the character decisions of Eren. We're talking about the story we got. We're talking about Eren. We're talking about what Eren is doing. But I just constantly see people who side on the Alliance ignore that. And I don't think they do it deliberately, or they're trying to ignore the story on purpose. But I think if you really want to have a serious conversation about whether or not the rumbling is justified, you first have to ask yourself, given what you know of Eren's decisions and reasonings, would you sacrifice the world to save your friends and family, or would you sacrifice your friends and family to save the world? And for me personally, depending on how you answer, if you would sacrifice your friends and family or sacrifice the world, I don't think either answer is wrong. I really don't. Especially in the context of AOT, where if the whole world wants to kill you and you choose to protect yourself, I don't think you're wrong in doing so. And on the other hand, if you choose to sacrifice yourself and the people you love for the whole world, I also don't think you're wrong. But it's crazy because the people who side on the Alliance demonize people on the Yeagerist side, but they completely ignore the fact that if they don't fight back, they will die. They have no option. Again, Isayama made it that way, and whether or not he wrote it like that on purpose or wrote himself into a hole on accident, with the only options being genocide, it just depends on who genocides who. Parody to the world, or the world to parody. We don't know. But that's why I think there's no gray morality in AOT, especially when it comes to the rumbling and the Yeagerist and Alliance. We're given two options, either parody wins or the world wins. No gray morality whatsoever. The Alliance think they're in the middle, but I mean, in the pursuit of stopping Eren, if they do, then parody will lose. We talked about how the world declared war on parody when they just acknowledged that the people of parody are innocent and don't know anything. They want to destroy parody for the 2,000 years of suffering that the Eldian Empire caused Marley and the whole world. Based on both those things, I don't think Marley and the world will be forgiving to parody after the whole rumbling ordeal. So at the end of the day, there's two options, Yeagerist or Alliance, and choosing one means the destruction of the other. So no third option, no gray morality. Isayama gave us two options, and unfortunately, whether intentional or not, both of those options end in genocide. I have my own thoughts on it if it was on purpose or accident, but I'll save that for another day. But either way, the rumbling was always gonna have people against it and people for it. The question of would you sacrifice the world to save your friends and family, or would you sacrifice your friends and family to save the world, will always have people arguing with each other. We see Eren doing the rumbling and people are against it. We saw Itachi kill his clan and people were against it. Both those decisions came down to either saving your friends and family or saving the world, and we were given a different answer in each one. Eren chose his friends and the island, and Itachi chose the world. And in both fandoms, they have people arguing whether they were right or wrong. And so ladies and gentlemen, that ends the video. Let me know what you think, are the Yeagerists right or wrong? And would you sacrifice your family for the world or sacrifice the world for your family? Let me know in the comments. I want to hear your thoughts. Keep it civil. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it and it would make my day. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace!